On behalf of the Professional Baseball Strength and Conditioning Coaches Society, I'd like to welcome you to the PBSCCS Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Messina.
What do you believe in within strength and conditioning that others think you are crazy for believing?
I've thought about this a lot, and I don't think a lot of other people think I'm crazy for this, because it's seeming to turn a tide now in professional sports that, hey, hear the athletes out more than we have in the past. Not saying that they should have complete autonomy over their programming at any point. That's why we're in the positions that we're in, of course. But I love being able to sit down with a guy and not be flexible per se, but hear them out. So if they want to make a small tweak to their program, maybe it's a different rotational med ball throw than the one I programmed. In my mind, hey, it's still a rotational med ball throw. At this point of the season, does it really matter if he's doing mine or the one that he wants to? Sort of thing. So I think overarching, being a little bit more flexible with the athletes when at the end of the day, it is their career. And I like them having that little bit more ounce of respect towards me that hey, Alexa cares about me enough that she'll hear me out, or at least sit down with me to have an influence in my program. And I found that if I do that at the front end of trying to get that confidence with an athlete, that towards the back end of me being with them, they'll do anything that I throw at them. So I think just overarchingly, when it's possible, being a little bit more flexible with the guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think in my new role that I'm in now, I have a lot of interns and a lot of younger coaches that I'm trying to teach a lot of the things in the field. And one of the things that we do is like a program design project. And over the course of their semester, we do multiple programs and we kind of pick through the things. And I always just let them write the first one. No notes, I give them some minor guidelines and I just see what they submit. The second one for me is the most important because I want them to hit the big rocks. And then the third one is where we kind of nitpick things, right? But that second one to me is the key in the sense that you're talking, right? You say okay, maybe they want a different med ball rotation, but at the end of the day, it's still a rotational exercise. We're working on some power. We're throwing a med ball. To me, those big rocks are kind of the major things that a lot of younger coaches coming up tend to miss is okay, listen, whether it's a front squat, a back squat, a belt squat, a goblet squat, we're hitting a squat pattern, right? Step one, are we at least addressing a squat pattern? Great. Now we can kind of understand further along the more that you get into it, maybe the front squat is a better choice because of this, or maybe the back squat is a better choice, or the belt squat, or whatever. But if I come to you and I'm I really don't want a back squat, do you have a different option? And you're oh yeah, let's do some hamstring leg curls. That you kind of missed the boat there, right? So for me, that's a big thing that I try to address with some of our younger coaches that I'm trying to mentor is hit the big rocks first. And at the end of the day, did we address power? Yes. Did we address strength? Yes. Did we do some conditioning, some ESD? Yes. Did we get some mobility in for their hips and their shoulders? Yes. That's probably a win for most people. Now, do we need to fine tune a lot more things once you understand those? Yes. But if you don't understand those, you can't fine tune further along the path. So I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the higher you go, I think that attitude is going to suit you better if you were to pursue moving up at the affiliates versus just staying at the complex. The higher up guys go, the other thing is you get guys coming from other orgs that have different ideas, or they train at different facilities in the off season and they have different things that they get from their strength coaches that, ultimately they trust those strength coaches in the off season with their training. So I agree with you. It ultimately it's their career. You want to kind of find a balance. Now, I also agree with you that they can't just be writing the program themselves completely. That's why we're there, right? We're kind of acting as like bumpers in a bowling lane, right? Like the ball goes a little astray, we bounce it back towards the middle. The ball goes a little astray, we bounce it back towards the middle, all in the hopes of hitting the pins, getting a strike, whatever the case may be. So I agree with you 100%. I think it's probably a sentiment that more people are starting to feel. I'm curious to see down the line if it shifts too far, like you're talking about, where like players like, nah, I'm just going to do my own thing and I don't care what you say. I don't think it will, but I guess you never know.
For sure. And I think I've started to flip that way, being a little bit more flexible the longer I've been in this field, just because first starting out, you think like you're like a fresh coach, your program is like it. Like I just studied for like 6 years of my life. I know what I'm talking about. Do this program kind of thing. And you get in like that military mindset where you need to do what's written down. Being in the rehab setting where a guy's injured the same hamstring 3 times and is like a little tentative about doing specific exercises because maybe he feels something in that muscle belly or what have you, just like isn't comfortable with a certain exercise, we have no choice but to be flexible in that setting. And then again, like you were saying, when we get like those AAA big league rehabs too, like these guys have been in this for 10, 15 years, like know what works for their body. So being able to like have that conversation, like, hey, let's meet in the middle kind of thing, like has really opened my eyes to why I feel that way now as compared to like when I first started in this field.
Let's go with the momentum on that one. So you talked about being in the rehab role. You talked about the new role that you're transitioning to. Like, what do you expect to take from that rehab role that's going to help you in that new kind of lead complex role?
Definitely. I think like rehab taught me a lot of patience. I think not being in a rehab setting, let's say trying to tie it back into like coming from collegiate, the patience isn't there as much because a kid steps out of line or is late to lift, boom, you tell the sport coach kind of takes the brunt of it because they're the ones that handle scholarships, playing time, all that stuff. Like they are scared of their sport coach. So, hey, let me handle the discipline type of thing. But in pro ball, obviously, like the discipline or the structure, I'll say, I don't want to say discipline, but the structure, I'll say, like comes from us, comes from the coaches. So I think like having patience with guys in rehab, especially because they're going through the emotional gamut at that point. I mean, not to get like too deep, but this is the reality of professional baseball. Like, could this injury be like the detriment to their whole livelihood? All they know is baseball. How can they provide for their families if they don't have baseball? And like them being injured like threatens that. So kind of like having that patience for them that, hey, I know this guy like is going through a lot and I'm not going to force him to do like X, Y, or Z his first day back in Florida. Maybe letting him like sit with those emotions, like being a human for them and like understanding again, like a little cliche, but like a deeper sentiment to them being more than an athlete is like a huge thing that I think I learned in rehab and will carry on with me through like the next however many years of my career. Number one is just having that extra, and like I'm not a very empathetic or sympathetic person in like my day to day, but I feel like being in rehab has helped me like tune into those emotions a little bit more. And I've noticed like the athletes really appreciate that as well.
Within this new role, will you still have rehab responsibilities, or do you have a whole new set of responsibilities moving forward?
So I'll say like a little bit of both, without giving like a fly on the wall perspective to like how we run things at our organization. Like we do like a typical return to play progression where, hey, there's a team right there. Why wouldn't a guy start getting innings with the FCL team and like starting their rehab progression, like formal rehab assignment in the FCL? So it's always been like a in tandem kind of thing towards the end of their rehab where like, hey, when I was in the rehab role, I would communicate with the FCL coaches like, hey, this guy needs like a certain amount of top up high speed distance yards to like meet what we wanted for this week's goal, just like keeping him on track. Now that I have him like less and he's like playing games, like this is what you should look for. Like, can you keep track of this, X, Y, or Z? So then now the roles are just flipped where the rehab coordinator will be telling me like, hey, this was my thoughts like for pregame or postgame sprints, or if you could take the live GPS box out to make sure like he's hitting his high speed parameters, that would be great. So I won't say it's like, it's a little less responsibility than like being the rehab person, but there's still like that sentiment of like you're part of every guy's rehab journey who hits the complex.
What are you most excited about for this new role? And then conversely, what will you miss most about rehab role?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it slightly before. Like, I love a game atmosphere. I I just like I get super hyped up. Like, I love being in there with the guys. Whenever I would go cover affiliates in rehab, I loved getting all my work done so I could sit in the dugout with the guys and just like top shop and like be in that environment again. So like getting back to that game atmosphere, I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm really looking forward to like the FCL Astros taking another title. They were so close this year to the FCL title, but I'm really looking forward to that. What I'm gonna miss from rehab is like being a part of those chronic return to play guys. The TJ guys, the guy that has had 3 soft tissue injuries in a row and has been in the complex for a couple years at that point, like finally seeing those guys get out of the complex and start being a baseball player again really like gave me fulfillment and happiness in this role. So I'm gonna miss that, but I'm also gonna try to like keep like holding on to those sentiments when like they do go through their game progressions. But I mean, you can't replicate being with a guy fresh off sling TJ to like year and a half, 2 years later, he's back on the mound. Like there's no way to replicate that feeling that you've been with him that whole time. So like I am definitely gonna miss that.
Yeah, the rehab to me has never been appealing. And I think a lot of that is because you made note of this earlier, like they don't teach you rehab. So I'm like, I would go in there and I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, I would probably figure it out. You know what I mean? We all kind of figure it out. But I would feel like I'm doing such a disservice to certain people that are at like such a critical point, not only of their like playing career, but also like their mental health, their personal well-being. Like you said, this is their livelihood. And like if this goes wrong, this could be the end of their career. So for me, it was always kind of something that I shied away from just because I didn't want to do that disservice potentially to somebody. Could I do the job well? I'm sure I could try to figure it out. And the way you talked about is like leaning on other people to help you navigate that is how I would approach it as well. But that like from afar, it's always fun to watch like the rehab team, like the little group of guys that have their own stretch time. They go to bullpens together, they celebrate each other's wins, they talk shit to each other when things are going down in the weight room. And like, you know, they have their own little clique of like, hey, what was that joke about? And you're like, you wouldn't get an inside joke between our rehab team. Like, it's always fun to watch them from afar. And, you know, for me, like when I was with the Red Sox, like our rehab guys were good friends of mine anyway. So I'm like, hey, if you need me to help out with the weight room and I'm free, like I'd be happy to help you. So I don't think you'll ever be removed from it if you're in a complex environment. But yeah, I'm excited for you to be able to experience the games and be back with the guys and kind of be within that grind setting that makes professional baseball what it is. You know what I mean? We're all a little crazy for wanting to be in it, but it's beautiful in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
What do you believe makes a strength and conditioning coach successful? Maybe like coaches that you're trying to mentor that you want them to find success in the future, or just, something that you hang your own hat on?
Honestly, I think I mentioned it before, feel for the athletes. Again, tapping into that sentiment, like, hey, they're people too. Love for the game, feel for the game. I always say this, like, I genuinely feel like you'll always love this job if you love the game of baseball. And it's, again, speaking in a lot of generalizations and cliches today, but I love baseball. I get home and I throw it on the TV, and that's what's in our background. I talk shop with my husband Alex, like, about what's going on in our organization baseball wise, following MLB transactions. I love baseball, and I really think like the athletes seeing that you're invested in the sport as well helps that success along the way, because they're like, hey, they're bought into this. Yeah, there's that feeling that, hey, it's our job, we don't want to be around it 24/7. Totally get that. But I personally think like the guys think it's cool when they can like talk about baseball current events with their strength coaches, and it just not be so transactional in the weight room, like, hey, do this movement because it's good for your sport. Like, no, like, you can relate it to things that they see online or on the TV.
And then how about advice for others? So we talked earlier, right? Like a big kind of full circle moment here is younger coaches looking to get in, like somebody that's listening, that's in your shoes 5-10 years ago, like what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I mean, again, full circle for me and you. I think in this profession, network is number one. I'm sure that's something I can translate across professions, from like the 9 to 5ers to us. But networking really has been the core of every step I've had along the way, because, for example, I wouldn't have gone to law tech if I didn't network with one of my professors at FAU who said, hey, one of my really good friends is Dr. David Szymanski, X, Y, or Z, like, you should go there. Hey, Alexa is really interested in your program. Like, she would love to come study under you. Boom, that's a network right there. When I was approached by the Houston Astros, I kept in touch and networked with our coaches all throughout our affiliates with the O's. I made sure, like, I stayed in good graces with our coordinator, now director, Nick White, just like kept those relationships through like networking. Hey, what do you think about Alexa? Hey, she's great. I networked a lot with Ian Kadish with the Twins. I've been networking with him since, like, I want to say 2019 too. And when it came time to, hey, I want to be a part of the board of the PBSCCS, Ian vouched for me, like, hey, she's like been networking with me for years. I can say like she's a good person and she'd be passionate about this position. Boom, that also helped me. So like, I really think like networking is at the core of all of this. And now that I've been a part of so many interview processes, I can't tell you like the amount of times that I go through a resume and I'll see a candidate. Everything looks good up until then. And then I see like one connection. I'll see like a Boston College intern for a couple months. I know people at Boston College. Call up, hey, what do you think about this kid? Next resume, hey, I know somebody from there. What do you think about them? So like now that I'm in like the other side of it, the networking really, really means like the world to like getting your foot in the door.
Yeah, I can agree, especially that last part there is, like I said earlier, I have young interns and they're like looking for jobs. I'm like, oh, do you know somebody with this organization? Like, yes, doesn't matter the org. I know somebody from every org, and they're like, oh, what about this org? I was like, I just said every org. Yes. Who are you trying to? Oh, do you know this person? That person is a very good friend of mine. Oh, can you reach out to them? Have you earned that recommendation? Yes, we'll talk. The other thing I meant to bring this up earlier about LinkedIn, because we're talking networking now. So you reminded me, like, I 100% look at it as like an old people social media. And so many people are like, dude, I'm on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn? I'm like, no, I don't do LinkedIn. Like I have a profile and it's fine. It's put together, but I'm not like on it. And yeah, apparently I was wrong. I am wrong. So thank you for that. Not just for the young people listening, myself as well for that one. So yeah, I think the networking piece is really valuable. And I think it goes back to earlier, right? You're talking about being bold and being frank and, whatever you want to call it, like reach out to people. You know what I mean? The worst that's going to happen is they ghost you or they say no, or they blow you off. Fine. There's hundreds of coaches in this field. There's, especially in the baseball world, like somebody's going to say yes, and the one that does is going to go a long way for you. So couldn't agree with you more on that one.
Yeah. I think I remember I would listen to this podcast and I would immediately like try to network with whatever coach was on that episode based on like the last note that it's like, how can people reach you? And I was that person to like reach out to people. But if I can add one more piece of advice for people in this field is like never lose sight of the fact that like the athletes are humans, especially in rehab. I made it such a goal of mine to like celebrate the highs and the lows with every athlete that I came across. Like I've celebrated like guys getting married when like, hey, they're just going to the courthouse, but like the 30 guys in rehab, like let's celebrate, like let's help him like stay in touch with like his human side. I've like sat with guys like talking through like potentially wanting to retire. Like I've like been with guys like the day after they propose to their girlfriends, like just like making sure like you always keep that human aspect of it, because I really do think that is a huge importance to like, from if you've been 5 months in the profession to like 50 years in the profession, like I really think that makes the difference in when a guy is like, oh yeah, I know Alexa, she's awesome. Like I know Chris, she's awesome. So like, I really do think that, and that helps me be happy too. Like putting like, it's a funny story, but like putting a veil on a guy that's getting married, like that makes me happy too. And like, kind of takes me out of that four walls thought process, like celebrating the guys and whatnot. But I think that part is really important.
Yeah. And I think as an extension of that, someday we're going to need somebody to be human to us. And I think if we're good people to our athletes, our coaches, the staff, everybody that's around, when we're in need of a little bit of love and humanity, like it'll be returned to us from those people. They'll remember the times that we took care of them, and they'll be good to us. And I think it's not to say that you should do it just because like, oh, someday I'm going to need you to take, scratch my back. It's just, we're all human and we all are, emotional, and things happen, and sometimes good, sometimes bad, but like those people will celebrate you the same way you celebrate them if you're genuine about it. So couldn't agree with you more. How about continuing education resources that you'd recommend? Books to read, seminars to attend, podcasts to listen to. Where are you going for continuing ed?
For sure. So some of the best books I've read just about baseball in general, again, like I think it's important to know like the ins and outs of every aspect, where like you understand the grind that these guys are trying to get through to get to the big leagues. Something like Where Nobody Knows Your Name by John Feinstein was like big eye opener to like hey, sometimes you're one of 250 guys in an organization, and like the farm director like doesn't know your name at some point. Like it's easy to get lost in a sea of guys, and like they're leaning on you to like be that person for them. That's a really good one. The Arm by Jeff Passan, I remember, was really good. 90% Mental, Bob Tewksbury. I love learning about like the different aspects of performance as well. And something that like is catching fire, I think, is like that mental aspect of performance. And I mean, Bob is like one of the huge names in mental performance for baseball. So like that's a really, really good one. Any seminars NSCA and PBSCCS has their name on is gonna be good. And then podcasts, obviously this one, I think it's important to hear everybody's stories and like hear your perspectives and like what everybody goes through in this profession. If you want to be in this profession, or if you're at that point in life where is this still for me kind of thing, I think it's really important to hear from all aspects and like different levels of coaches. And then obviously Eric Cressy, I'm never going to stop singing his praises. Like, I've seen and learned from him hands-on. Like, there's a reason that he's the guy. There's a reason that so many guys are bought in, and that Cressy Sports Performance has turned into like this mecca of baseball players in the off season. I genuinely think like that's a great resource. So those are my two mains for sure.
Again, I appreciate the support over the years of this one for sure. We've been at it for quite a while. It's been awesome to hear your story. It's been awesome to finally connect and put all these pieces together. I'd like to do a lightning round with you, and then I promise I'll get you out of here. You cool with that?
All right. Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, 4 questions, as long or short of answers as you'd like. First one, who is your biggest influence in the field of strength and conditioning?
Okay, Dr. David Szymanski for everything research-based evidence. Eric Cressy for the applied work. A professor at FAU, Dr. Graves, she really pushed me out of my comfort zone. She's been involved with the NSCA for like a long, long time, and just like has really been a huge influence on me getting into this field. And Adam Decker for teaching me how to be a good leader and embodying everything that I would want to be in a leader. So yeah, those 4.
If you only had one piece of equipment to train with, what would it be?
Kettlebell for sure.
Biggest accomplishment professionally and or personally?
I'll start with personally, just because I'm one not afraid to like talk about my personal life and how it fits into pro ball. Personally, I think my biggest accomplishment is just me and Alex creating like this really nice little life that we have down here in Boca Raton. And then professionally, finally getting that call from the MLB that I'll be the strength coach for Colombia in the 2026 or this year World Baseball Classic. It really means a lot to me because being Colombian, there's not a lot of Colombian strength coaches or Colombian female strength coaches. So just to represent my country and where my family is, it just means a lot to me. So that's been a goal that I've been working towards since the last World Baseball Classic, like figuring out how am I going to get in there for 2026, and like a lot of networking, a lot of connecting with like, how am I going to even get in contact with who's on Colombia's staff, and just like trying to navigate all that. So that's something that I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life. I think being part of Cressy's expansion into the facility that they're at now. I mean, I was there when they put together like squat racks and we're transferring equipment into this new facility. I'm really proud of like having been a part of that. I think it's awesome, like seeing places succeed and just like keep growing or like exploding in their case. um, Strength Coach of the Year with the PBSCCS when I was with the Baltimore Orioles in 2021. That's something that I really hold close to me just because it's a peer voted award. And of course, because the PBSCCS means so much to me, like it's nice to be cemented in that history. And then last one, I think just very fresh, but being the AL minor league rep on the PBSCCS like means a lot to me. Bi-weekly being able to sit with like the best coaches in professional baseball slash like strength and conditioning period, even if we're like just talking smack to each other for an hour. I love it. I can't tell you like what that means to me. I mean, I was telling Kiyoshi today, like I once like my rep time is done after this year, like tell me what I need to do to like have more leadership and like stay on, because that's just invaluable. Like I can't tell you the amount of times like I've reached out to Ian Kadish just for like professional advice, and he's like sent me paragraphs and paragraphs of like professional advice. BMAC with the Dodgers really had a hand in like getting me in the in the WBC. Just like having a chance to like sit at the table with all of your idols, basically, like that's something that I'm gonna hold close.
Yeah, I can definitely relate there. When I first started the podcast, that was kind of how it was. I was nobody in AA, reaching out to all these big league strength coaches, and they took me under their wing, and now they're like, uncles to me, most of them, to be honest. Kiyoshi's probably closer to like a second father figure for me. So can definitely relate. And also with the WBC, congratulations. I actually have that on my notes for us to maybe do a second interview in the future discussing your time with the WBC. So we'll hold that one for the future, but in the short term, congratulations on that one.
Thank you.
Last one, any career other than strength and conditioning, what would you choose?
So interior design, I'm not good with my hands artistically, but you should see what our house looked like when we bought it compared to what it looks like now. And I'm just like really passionate about like, hey, let's redo this room, let's do that to our house. So definitely some kind of interior design.
Okay. Does Alex do all the actual hands-on labor then?
He attempts to, and then
Fair.
and then he gets frustrated at something, and we just hire somebody to do it for us.
Yep.
um,
Ultimately,
but
that
he
is the way.
support, but he supports it. And whenever someone is like, "Oh, hey, how's the house look?" He's the first one to like bring up pictures and be like, "It looks amazing. Like Alexa did all this." So like he supports everything along the way. And if I'm like, what do you think about this color? He's like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. So, what more can you ask for?
Smart guy, very smart guy. Alexa, this has been awesome. I'm really glad that we were able to do this. If the next wave of Alexas wants to reach out to you, where do they go? Is social media the best place, or should we go somewhere else?
So I would definitely say LinkedIn. Like sometimes it takes me a little bit to respond to messages on there, but I just don't post on Instagram all that often. And I've started using Instagram as a way just to keep in touch with like family and friends and whatnot. I mean, we follow each other on Instagram. Like, I barely post anything on there anymore. So, like, if you want to follow me on Instagram, sure. But if you're looking for educational pieces or like a look into pro ball, my Instagram is not the place to go. I will say too, follow the PBSCCS Instagram, because I may or may not have a hand in what gets posted on there sometimes. But if you want to reach out to me directly, definitely hit me up on LinkedIn. That's like where I mainly connect with up and coming coaches.
Awesome. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your support over the years, and taking the initiative on your part to reach out to me and just kind of stay in touch over the years, and kind of keep me in the loop on how things are going. And we will definitely do one of these again in the future. But in the meantime, enjoy whatever bit of off season you get left, and good luck in the new position. And if I can do anything for you in the future, feel free to reach out.
Definitely. Likewise. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, that's going to conclude part 2 of this 2-part interview with Alexa. I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you missed part 1, make sure to give that one a listen as well. This was a really fun interview for me. As we mentioned a few times, it's been long overdue. We've been connected for years and years and years through the PBSCCS, and honestly through Alexa taking initiative to interact with me. So I'm really appreciative that she did that. I'm really appreciative of her time for this interview. And I am wishing her a lot of success both in the WBC this year and then also in her new role that we discussed as well. 3 things that I took from Alexa in this part of the interview: collaborating with athletes on their goals and programming creates better buy-in long term. Having a genuine love of the sport you're working with can help you become successful long term. And never lose sight of the fact that your athletes are also human. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll talk to you again on the next one.